Hey YouTube, Patrick here. So, today I'm gonna show you how I built my animated frame for Twitch, which basically looks like this. It has mainly two components, the metallic shiny parts on the top and the bottom corners, and also the color shifting tube thing around the edges. So do note that this is not like a pro tutorial, since I'm a programmer, not a graphics designer, so those of you better at Photoshop than me, suck it. So, let's get started. Here we are at Photoshop. So if you don't have Photoshop, well, sucks to be you. I think you can accomplish the same result with a different program, but this is what I used, so that's what I'm gonna use here today. We probably need to start by getting some reference material, because we need the actual dimensions of the camera. Usually it's like Full HD or 720p ratio, but you may have like cropped it or something, so we don't want the frame to actually match the crop that you're using. And I myself usually take a bit of a narrower ratio, so I take a little bit off the sides because there isn't like anything relevant there, so it fits all the scenes a bit better. Anyway, let's jump into Twitch here. Here's my old VODs. If you want to be the 50th follower, you may do so. Let's grab this one here, and I'm gonna hide my face for a moment so you can see the whole image here. Let's make it full screen. Do a screen grab there. We can close that, and let's jump into Photoshop. New, clipboard, yes. And I'll paste it here. So here we have the screen grab, and this is what I'm going to use to get the dimensions correct for our frame here. So let's grab the cropping tool, zoom in a bit closer. So basically what I want is I probably want to do it like this, so I'm gonna grab it really close. And I mean, you shouldn't like worry too much about the exact pixel size. You're only gonna need like a roughly the correct size. And in addition to that, we're gonna use canvas size to give us a bit of breathing room. So I'd say like let's do like 50 pixels on each side. And then I'm just gonna draw like a simple rectangle here using this as a guide. Let's do transparent fill and let's add like a very distinct color for the border. I will increase it. Yeah, something like that, I think. 60, 70. You can adjust these things to your liking. Anyway, something like that. Okay, so now that we have the frame here, so this is going to be the actual color shifting frame around the edges. And the color that we set here, it doesn't really matter, because we're not going to use that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the circle shape here, and I'm just going to make a simple circular shape in the middle here, pressing Shift and Alt to make it the correct proportions and in the middle. There we go. And now I'm gonna set the stroke to transparent, and we'll do like a nice linear gradient from one side to the other. Now here's the crucial part. So we have the layers here. Here's the rectangle, and there's the ellipse right above it. So what I'm gonna do is press Alt and make this like a masking layer. So what it means that the ellipse thing that has the linear gradient, that's the actual color that we're gonna see, and the rectangle is merely the part that remains visible. So that's how we accomplish this kind of look. And basically now we can do is we can rotate this. But there is going to be a problem. Let me see. There we go. So if I rotate this, you see that the color doesn't actually shift. And that is because this is still considered a shape, and basically the linear gradient adjusts no matter how much you turn the shape itself. It's always oriented downwards. So what we need to do to accomplish the shifting effect is rasterize the eclipse here. So rasterize layer. So what this does is it's basically dissolves the shape itself and makes it just a simple image. So now the color gradient is tied to the actual eclipse object. So now that we do the rotation, you can see that it does this cool shift thingy. Yay! And basically with this is already like a complete product. You could easily get away with this if you like. It's really simple and looks really nice. And you can play around with the color gradients to your heart's content till you find something fun. Anyway, I'm gonna take the masking layer off just for a moment because I want to add some little details. So here I have the brush tool, and from the brushes I'm gonna grab some spray spatter, and probably the messier the better. And I think you could do probably some dark splotches and some really bright splotches. So let me just do something like this. Yeah. And you don't want to make it too even. I mean, it becomes very obvious when it's like a really steady pattern. So you want some irregularities in there. So maybe not go like completely white. Let's do something like that and do another pass here. Actually, something like this. Yeah, sounds like fun. So now we can apply let's masking tape again, or masking layer. And now that we do the rotate thingy, you can see the little particles moving around. So yeah, that's that's basically all there is to it. Of course, those with a bit of a keen eye can tell that it's the particles are going in a circle. And this was probably the main reason that I ended up doing the metallic parts, to kind of hide parts of the flow so it doesn't become immediately obvious that it's like a rotating thing. Yeah, and just for like a simple added effect, I think we can do blending options for the rectangle. Yeah, so if you want to make it look like a tube with like liquid flowing through it, we can do the bevel, and I don't know if contour is needed, but yeah, basically this shape. And let's just play with the size a bit. And I think we're gonna actually let's do contour, yeah. So we're gonna want to end up with kind of a roundish shape. Let's add some softening there. Not too much. Try to be a bit conservative when doing these things so you don't overdo it. Yeah, right around there. And just ease up a bit on the intensity. So yeah, there. It's a slight 3D effect, if you will. And if we rotate the eclipse in the background, it looks kind of nice. And when we actually animate this thing, it's gonna look awesome. And you can play with the other blending options. There's plenty of fun things to be had there. And of course you can try out different color palettes with the background disk. See what works for you. If you have like a very distinct like color palette you like to use with your theming, and all your layouts. So just play around with it, see what works. And definitely try out all the kinds of different brushes. You might find something interesting there. Adjusting the brush sizes and all that. But yeah, that's basically that part done. Very cool. Alright, so let's move on to the metallic parts next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hide these layers. We don't need them at the moment. And I'm just going to draw like a shape here. And let's grab some animal. Yeah, let's pick the deer. That's fine. And we'll put it in here. This is just to test out the actual layer style that we are going to create. So yeah, basically we're trying to create a metallic style that we can apply to basically any shape and give it like a metallic look. So I'm going to start by going into the blending options here. And mainly to achieve that like metallic look, you really have to like fiddle around with a lot of the knobs here. But the main ingredient is the gradient overlay. So I'm just gonna do this and walk you through it. So let's just add some stops here. We're probably gonna go quite dark there. And we'll add another with a bit of a lighter hue. And I'm gonna drag this stop here so I can make like a really sharp stop there. Yeah, something like that. So this is basically the main selling point here, this line here. Because if you don't make like a sharp stop here, you don't get that like really shiny look that you only have with like shiny surfaces. So the stop part here, this is the important bit. And you can basically fiddle around with the colors here to your tasting. So I'm just probably gonna go up even a bit more darker here. Yeah, something like that. We're probably gonna change these values for a few times, playing around with this. Okay, so we got that. So of course we wanna make it like 3D. So that's one of the easiest things to do. So we'll just enable bevel and contour, and we'll make sure that the contour is this sharp one, so it's like a beveled edge, as the name says. So we'll just play around with the values just a bit. Soften is at 0. Actually, we can go quite hard with this. It's almost very, very sharp. And just play with the size until you get to something that looks right. The contour is mainly for taste. It's actually, let's see. Yeah, we can actually make like a really sharp looking corners with this. So maybe I'll even ease up the size just a bit, so we get that like really sharp look on the edges. And as we want to make it as shiny as possible, we're also going to add stroke. And we're going to change the stroke to gradient. And basically here what we want to do is make like a dark white, dark kind of gradient. So I'm just gonna drag this here, make a new stop here. And I think I'm gonna go quite shiny on the ends. Oh, actually I did the wrong way around. So let's fix that and put this one here. So bright in the middle and dark in the ends. So something like this, something like that. Yeah, it's really starting to show. And let's increase the size just a bit. Yeah, now we're really getting it there. Yeah, the point about this is you really have to play with the intensity of the colors, or rather shades of gray, so that you don't get like really dark spots anywhere. So it's like a nice and even, but not too even, so that you actually get that like really shiny look. And then we'll actually add inner glow. So this is a bit of like an optional thing, but I think really gives it a bit more, even bit more depth. So when we have like a metallic shine, we're basically dealing with all the shades from white to black, but we might want to add like a dash of color, just a tiny amount. So I think metal gives, I mean, if you look at like silver, it has that a slight, the tiniest amount of blue in it. I think it's like a very, almost a subconscious thing, but I think it looks kind of nice when you add it here. I don't know if I need to, yeah, there we go. So easy on the choke, and just adjust it to taste. Just gives that little bit of extra, yeah. And we'll enable the satin to make it more dramatic. And I'm gonna just, the distance is, yeah, this is gonna be very minimal. I mean, you can even go without the satin. It gives it like a different kind of look. I don't know exactly how this affects it, but I mean, it looks fine without. So play with all the tools, see what you get. So I had one run of doing this, the style of this kind of style, and the satin really helped to sell the metallic look. But yeah, that makes it quite a bit darker. So I think I'm gonna leave it for now. And after that, we're pretty much done. I'm just gonna add a bit of a drop shadow for a bit more dramatic effect. And as always, keep it subtle. You don't want to overdo it. Just a bit of depth, so it looks nice. So yeah, now we have basically the style ready, and I think you should probably save this. Let's give it a name so we can find it later. There are some of my other prototypes, and yeah, there we have the style. So we can basically delete this, and I can just add a piece of text here. Oh, let's see, some decent size. Let's move it here, and let's try to apply to this. Blending options, styles, and there you have it. I mean, not perfect, but pretty good. And if I change this to like a single line, the gradient should work a bit better. Yeah, there we go. So you get the hard cutoff line, which sells the shine. Maybe you go a bit easier on the bevel and twiddle a bit few of the values, but you get the general idea. This is how you do like a basic metallic look. So we can use that when we're creating the borders. So now that we have the style done, we can actually move on to actually shaping the parts that we're going to use the style on. So yeah, this next section is basically going to be me freestyling some weird ass shapes and applying the metallic look to them, and we'll see what we can come up with. So technically, you don't need to like draw everything by hand. I usually do it the way that I just draw like a basic shape, and I use the center line as a guide. So yeah, that's exactly middle. So if you're going to make like a symmetric shape in some way or the other, you might want to only build half the thing and just copy it and mirror it to the other side. So you get like exact copy. You don't have to do everything twice and all that. So yeah. So let's give it some weird color so we can actually see where it lands. And I'm actually leaving the tube here visible for a reason, so that I know exactly where I lay my pieces. So it actually covers the tube partly where I want it to. But yeah, I think we can move on to shaping this thing. So yeah, you can start with like a basic shape, and then we're going to use the pen tool to add like simple anchor points here and there to make like some more interesting shapes, if you will. And so here, I think I'm gonna make a few points. Actually, that's the wrong tool. Add anchor point. Yeah, so this way we add anchor points to the existing shape instead of trying to create a new one. So yeah, one there, one there. And I think we can just, we can use this other cursor tool to grab these points, and then we can move them. Oh, pardon me. Let me grab those again. Yeah, you can use your cursor keys. Just press shift to make like bigger leaps. And yeah, I'm not gonna do anything like super fancy here. So just to prove a point. So let me just yeah, so when you're doing points with the pen tool, the anchor point, there are basically two types of points. There are curved points and there are like solid points. I don't know if those are the actual names, but that's what I'm going to refer them as. So if you have a solid point, then it's like a sharp corner with no curvature whatsoever. But when you create these new anchor points with the pen tool, by default it makes them like a curved point. So let me show you. Just I'm going to create a point here, and if I select it and draw it, you can see it makes like a curvature, and you can adjust the curvature by adjusting these helper points here. But if you want to change it into like a normal sharp corner, you just press Ctrl and Alt and click on the point. So now it's like a sharp corner, and it also works the other way around. You just press on it and draw out the Bezier curve. Very cool. Yeah, so let's try to make something that doesn't look horrible. It's more challenging than you know. So maybe I'll just add like a point here, and here, and here. And let me just draw those out just a bit. So this is gonna go straight down, and this is gonna be like a secondary thing, but I'm gonna use the curve to make it look like additional spike or something like that. So when you're dealing with like a metallic style, the obvious route to go usually is like creating all these serrations and spikes everywhere. So that's the easy way to go, and that's basically the reason why my current Twitch frame looks the way it is. I mean, it's fine if you do it with some taste, so you don't like overdo it and go like full edgelord. It should look just fine, but just something to keep in mind. That's all. Let's go down, and we'll grab these. go to the left. Or actually, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So as you can see, like really, really basic shapes. You can just add a few anchor points and you're already doing like all these a lot more exotic shapes than original. Yeah, just a simple curve and it's already a lot more interesting. So let's do something with the bottom half here. So I think I'm gonna, let's actually do the right tool. Yeah, so let's add like a anchor point here. Okay, we have a couple there. Let's try and turn this. So I don't think that's necessary. Maybe just draw this in here. Then make like a bit of a hook thing. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Oh, wrong button. Let me draw this out actually. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe add like a single point here. Let's grab it and just turn it this way. And another point here. So we can straighten it out a bit. I think I'm gonna pull this down here. So yeah, something like that. I think we can ease up on the curve. Let's make this a bit more straight. So now the bottom part, I think I'm gonna just add a single point in the middle, like a curvature point, and maybe pull it down just a bit. Something simple, yeah. So let's do some cutouts, shall we? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a box here. So it should be, actually I'm not gonna draw it over the line so I have some reference. Yeah, something like that. And I'm gonna make, I don't want it to be like a straight cutout. I mean, it's fine, but we want to add some style to it. So I'm gonna add points in the middle. They're not exactly centered, but I don't really care that much. So I move them down and we get like this kind of shape. And we want to kind of imitate the curve here. So yeah, something like that. I think we can actually, let's see if I can actually just duplicate this straight away. Yeah. Just pressing Alt, selecting all the pixels and press Alt when you drag it and it copies the thing. So yeah, now we have two rectangles. Let's give them a color. Something a bit distinctive. There we go. So basically we want these here, roughly. And I want to cut them out, so let's see if I still got this. So I think we need to, oh, let's cancel that. We'll select the rectangles with the selection tool, Control X. We select this thing, Control V, paste it down, and then we select all the things. And then we go up here, and here we can do subtract. No, exclude. Yeah, there we go. So that's how you get the cutout shapes. And yeah, I'm not gonna go like super elaborate here, so you can play around with the shapes yourself. So I'm just gonna do minor few adjustments here. I think I'm gonna lift this up so the tube doesn't show, and I think I'm gonna take these, make them like a bit more like a serration, but not as sharp. Or actually I'm gonna make it a bit sharper this way. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. So just so you know, I'm fully aware of the like full mall ninja vibe this gives off. And I mean, yeah, that's what basically it is. So all those spikes and sharp corners everywhere. But just keep in mind that you can actually make it look quite nice. Just don't overdo it, and it should be fine. Yeah, stuff like that. Cool. So let's see how it looks with the style. We'll go blending options and pick our style. Yeah, that's decent. Again, some minor adjustments need to be made. I have a few extras I made earlier. You can try those out as well. This is the one I use on mine. So a lot of different varieties doing the same thing. But yeah, that's just for show. I think I can actually, let me grab these. Oh, whoops. Come on now. Actually, how about, can I do scaling for these? So just, come on. Yeah. Yeah, a bit smaller there. Cool. And then we can actually, if we select all the vertices from here, we can do this. Press Alt and drag. And when we have this part selected, it's all part of the same layer. We can do, let's do like a transform, flip it around, flip horizontal. There we go. Okay, it doesn't exactly match it, but I think it's quite okay. Yeah, around there. Maybe a small step to the left there. And again, let's check how it looks with the finalized. Yeah. So actually this brings us to the next point. So here we have like a nice little cutout here. So we're gonna do some of those here. But I'm gonna leave this styling off for now so we can see more clearly what we're doing. So let's grab these points here, move them one bit closer. Yeah, so when you actually join them, or not join them, but move them so that they overlap, then you get like a unified styling for it. But as long as there's even the slightest gap, it makes them into two separate parts and does the beveling on both sides. So kind of getting a Batman vibe from this one. But yeah, I'm gonna actually delete the other side still. So I'm gonna show you how to do some nice detailing here. So let's grab our trusty tools. Let's make some, let's see, what would make sense. I'm gonna make 3 points here, quite close to each other, and same here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to select the middle point from each of those and delete it, as long as I can grab it. There we go. And one thing to note here, that the shape is actually broken now, so I think it's a good practice to actually finish up it. So we just grab the pen tool and join this point here. There. Now it has like a completed shape. And we're gonna do the same thing here. There we go. And I'm gonna actually let's grab this tool and convert this to like a sharp corner. It makes the, oh yeah, so this is kind of messed up. Let's do it like something like this. Or actually, I'm just gonna add a point there. Make it more easier. Yeah. Something like that. Okay, so actually, well, this is a good place to demonstrate the point. So I'm going to move these close to each other, but I'm going to leave the smallest of gaps. There. And now, if I go into the blending options and apply the style, it looks like this. It has a cutout. Very cool. But the fun thing about this is that actually I'm gonna, let me just, I'm gonna adjust a few points here. Actually, I'm gonna delete them again so we get rid of the line there. And I'm gonna move the lines actually. So I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna go here and then join it there. Now I'm gonna grab this point, go here again, and join this. So you kind of get the point. So now if I do the blending thing, it has that kind of a shape. Of course, you kind of have to be a bit careful with these ones, because if you could do like very extreme shapes, you might get a bit unexpected results at times. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I'm just gonna hide the blending. Let's do another one. Let's do like a segmented thing. That's what usually looks kind of cool. So add some anchor points. Let's do like let's say 1, 2, maybe like 3 points. Nothing too involved, but kind of get the idea what you can actually do with this. So let's do it like that, and let's do this side first. And with our pen tool here, let's go here and here. We can always adjust the points later. And of course, when you're using points like these, it's possible to do like a curved edge. That's entirely a possibility, depending on what kind of a look you're looking for. As soon as I can get a hold of that. Okay, come on, play nice. Just gonna move these closer. And maybe this should be like there, I think. Yeah, that looks even. So then we do this side. Delete those. Grab this point. Put it like here, I think, a bit. It's a slight downward curve. And let's grab this one. Do the same. And it's this one. Okay. And then we can just adjust the points a bit. So we'll do this one first. Maybe like that. This should be around there. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. Move these closer. I mean, the tube itself, it might peek out just a little bit, but the resolution that is going to be shown is like this, so no one's going to notice. And I think once you get the drop shadow going on, I don't think anyone's going to be able to tell the difference. So yeah, you can get things like that going. The beveling is a bit high on that one, so I think we can back that down just a tad. And the stroke as well, I think. A bit more. Yeah, something like that. It all depends on how you do the actual beveling, how deep of a bevel you want going on there. So, yeah, very cool. And yeah, so that's basically that's done. So let's disable that, and maybe I'll just grab this whole thing and copy it to the other side. There. Let's do the horizontal flip. There we go. And I think, let's see, okay, they're overlapping just a tiny amount. They seem to hit the same place. I'm actually gonna just make sure to grab these ones as well. Press Shift to restrict the axis, so we get it on the same level. Move it in place. Okay. So this is about the center line, and maybe I'm gonna do just a small little bevel thing, or not a bevel, but a little cut here. So if I move this here, it connects. Yeah, so I'm gonna move it so that we get a thin line as possible. And I know that this side has been moved like 1 pixel to the left, but you will never be able to tell. So try not to sweat about the small things. It's not an exact art. So yeah, let's grab this one. Oh yeah, actually I just explained that you should do everything once, so and just mirror it. So might take my own advice here. So I'm gonna do just a simple cut here. We'll cut there, there, and there, around there, something like that. And let's again grab the middle point. This, oh, come on, middle point. There we go. Grab the pen tool. Let's fix the shape. There we go. Now I can move the things into place. I'm gonna make them sharp corners so we don't get any weird curves going on there where we don't want them. Yeah, that should work. Yeah, cool. So let's grab the whole thing and do the transfer to the other side. And let's turn around. Horizontal. Yeah. Okay, so here I think we can... Yeah, now we can move both of them, so it should be perfectly censored. Now when we do that, we get this nice effect. I mean, it really doesn't require much to do like pretty cool shapes and all that stuff, so this is what I use. I just play with the shapes and all of those until you get the desired result. And yeah, let's do like a quick corners here. So let's grab the just the basic shape here and do a bit of a few more anchor points. So one there, I think one there, and let's say one there, just to get a bit of a curve going on. Yeah. So let's grab these. Let's pull that up. And let's make this do some crazy stuff here. Okay, not that crazy. I'll put this back just a bit. Actually, I do want this to be a curve. Yeah, do like a kind of a spike thing. Yeah. Alright, just gonna leave it like that. Yeah, let's do like a slight curve here. With the... Yeah, we'll do like a... something like that. Nothing too elaborate, just some fun there. Let's move this here and do the same thing we did at the top, so a bit of a curvature there. And then you just basically try your best to not make it look like a boot. It's harder than it sounds. Yeah, I'm gonna add a point there and just lift it up a bit. So now we can give this a bit more of a dip here. And again, since we're playing with metal here, I think it's fair to do some serrations here. So add like a there, there. Something like that. One more, I think. Then we grab each other of these points. Come on now. Wrong tool. That's that. Jesus. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. You want shift when you select multiple. Pull this down to the left. Then we try to make them look like a 5-year-old did not draw these. Okay, so these go forward. And again, this might be just a straight corner there. I mean, definitely not one of my best pieces, but I think it's the point across. You just play around with them until you see something that pleases the eye. That's how it goes, right? Maybe like an upward curve to it. Yeah, give it a bit more of a sharp edge. Turn the curve around. And if it starts getting too complicated, just remember that you can always convert this back into like fixed solid points with no curvature. So yeah, and you can just do the lazy thing and add the point in the middle and just draw it out a bit. And give it like a nice curve. Yeah, I'm gonna convert that to a normal point. Yeah, something like that. And when we have the desired shape, we just apply the same layer there, and we have metal. Cool. So I think I'm just gonna copy this around, and then we're ready to move on to the actual animation side of things. So I'm not gonna do the events here because I already showed you that, so you can know how to do that. So I'll just flip this and move it into place roughly. No, wrong button. Come on now. Let's grab these. Actually, move it here. Yeah, around there. Cool. So let's do the animation next, shall we? The thing is that the metallic parts here are not going to be animated in any way, so I'm basically going to hide them. But I think before that I'm gonna just add just a hint of like a red glow. We were using blue earlier, but I thought that since the fluid running there is kind of like has a red hue to it, we could use that just a tiny amount. Well, let's see. Let's do like a bit of a brighter opacity. Just a bit of a slight reddish glow to it. Yeah, I think that's enough. We'll do the same thing here. So inner glow, like this. Opacity up. Just tone it down just a bit. Show 0. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now we can actually just hide these things, because this is the only thing that we want to animate. And to animate things in Photoshop, we basically go to Window, and here we should find Timeline. This thing. So we're going to be using keyframes. If you don't know what keyframes are, you should probably watch like a basic animation tutorial. It's technically when you do an animation that you don't have to animate every single frame. You just do a few keyframes and the animation software figures out the rest. So that's the TLDR for you. Anyway, I know from experience that this by default it makes the animation 30 FPS. I actually was just checking a few things out earlier and I changed it, but you can change the frame rate from here. So, oh, my face is in the way. So here's the button to set the timeline for the frame rate. So you just want to make sure it's 60, or if you're recording in 30, you might as well make it 30, but it doesn't really matter. It's not gonna tax your machine that much, even if you render it at 60. Okay, and by default the animation time is like 5 seconds, and if I do like a full rotation of this in 5 seconds, that's gonna be quite fast. So I know from experience that we can just let's grab these and make it like a 10-second animation. So the one thing about Photoshop that I'm not that fond of is that you cannot like drag the timeline by itself. So you can change the actual rendered time with this, but if you want to extend the actual animation duration of the whole project, you have to actually pick one of the layers and drag that so you get to the desired length. So we're gonna aim for 10 seconds. So I'm just gonna basically grab all of these. It doesn't really matter because we're they don't come along. Cool. Well, let's just drag them here. It doesn't really matter because we're gonna hide the ones that we don't use, and there will be no audio in this one. So I'll take that out. Okay, so the thing is that since this is the only thing we're rendering, the one thing to keep in mind is when we're using this in OBS, we want to use some distinct background color that allows us to like key it into a like transparent state. So white is not good, since we have plenty of white specks in the going around the tube, and I tried playing around with a few hues. I mean, a blue one could work, but in the end I ended up going with just like basic black. That seems to work quite nicely, since there isn't like any truly black spots here. And you have to take in consideration that we are making a video. So if you use like an actual color, that usually gets compressed in the video format. So it's not like perfectly that color of that specific hue of color that you picked. But when you use black, well, black is black. There is little to no argue about it. So I just noticed that the black usually works quite well for a video, so I'm gonna go with that. Anyway, so yeah, the timeline has been stretched to 10 seconds. So now I can get to the actual animation part of things. And it seems that it's picked up my coloring scheme. Cool. Why? Oh, okay, cool. So let's extend this here like this. Right. So now when we scroll through, you might see some pixelation in the borders there, but don't be alarmed. That's quite all right. It's just the preview resolution is quite considerably lower than what we'll actually see with the finished rendered video. Okay, so let's make the disk rotate, so we get a nice flowing of bubbles and particles going on here. Okay, so here's the ellipse, and here we have the keyframes, and basically we have position, opacity, and style. But the thing we actually need is transform, since rotate falls under the umbrella of transforming things. So I'm gonna do this quick little trick here. I'm gonna hide my face, and we'll go into the layer list here, and we'll select the ellipse and do convert to smart object. There we go. And then when we open the ellipse again, yay, we have transform. So to use the transform keyframe here, you just click on the clock. There's the yellow diamond. Now we have a keyframe. And now we can actually move the marker halfway over into here. and we're going to add another marker here. And the reason is why I don't go all the way to the end is that when you're doing rotations, you can only give it a maximum value of 180 degrees. So we're gonna do just that. And we're just gonna do that twice, so we get a full rotation. So transform. Actually, I'm gonna do it manually, so I don't get any sudden changes in direction. So we'll give it 180. Yay! Then let's go all the way to the end. And as we were turning clockwise, we want to do the same again. So edit, transform, rotate, and give it a bit of a turn. And as we can see, now the numbers are going from minus 180 to 0. So we'll just give it 0. Pay close attention to the numbers so that you don't actually make it change directions halfway through. Some lessons learned there. And yeah, that's how you get the flowing particles. Nice rotation all the way around in 10 seconds. You can of course play around with the durations and all the transformations you want to do to create like cool effects. But as you may want to do like a faster, more intense effect. But I found out that when doing like long streams, you probably want to do something quite subtle so that there's not like constant flashing of stuff in your eyes. So yeah. Anyway, let's render this out and see how it looks. And oh yeah, one thing to mention. We have the metal parts here. So this is what it looks like when the parts are filled in. You can see the vents working there. And yeah, it goes a bit blurry when you scrub the timeline, but the rendered version will look quite sharp. But for the render, I'm just going to hide these and render just this. And after that, I'm going to just bring out the metal parts and render this, actually save this as a PNG. So we maintain the transparency of the background. And then I'm just going to layer these things on OBS so we get the whole thing working. Cool. So let me just render that out and see how it looks. All right, so the rendering is done. I forgot to mention the render button can be found right here down below. And yeah, so let's see what the finished product looks like. So here's the frame. It's just the frame itself and with a transparent background. And here's the tube itself. So yeah, as you can see, it's quite... The fidelity is a lot better than in the preview. Looks quite nice. And then all that's left to do is basically layer them all out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring out my OBS that I'm using to record. So this is going to look a bit trippy, but try to keep up. So what we're going to do is create an image. So we'll bring the frame here. I'm just going to call frame tut. So here's the frame itself. Cool. There it is. Then we're going to add a VLC video source. There we go. Tube tut. And it's a playlist. So we're going to add the actual flow itself. There we go. And here, as you can see, the background is black at the moment, but we can fix that quite easily. So let's go to filters. We have the effect filters, so we're gonna add just a color key. And here the color keys are green, red, blue, and magenta. We're gonna go custom, select color, and just go all black. And to my experience, I don't think you actually need to adjust it that much. You can play with the smoothness just a bit if you think there's like a black border going on, but I'm just going to leave it at default. It looks fine to me. So One thing to do that when you have like, I'm just going to move the frame on top of the tube. So this is the finished product. One small quality of life thing you can do is add a group here. So I'm gonna add a frame here. So I'm gonna move both of these onto the group. And this is for the sole purpose that we can actually, okay, yeah, that's the correct ordering. So yeah, there we have it. So I'm gonna move this away for the moment, so you can actually still see the finished frame here. Yeah, so this looks kind of nice. So this picture here is actually, the proportions are built to my current video size. So we can go into this other scene I have set up here. So I'm gonna just move my face around just a bit. As soon as I can grab a hole. Yeah, there we go. So let's add I'm just gonna copy this whole thing from the other scene. There we go. Did I grab them twice? I think I did. Okay, let's delete the other one. Yeah. And then we just stretch this all the way. And since the proportions should be correct, it should sit here quite nicely. Like this. Yeah. And this is basically the finished product. And I can move my... Oh, actually, that's a bad idea. Let's not do that. So, yeah. This is the finished product. So you have the metal frame going on here, and then there's the tube with the flowing particles going all around, shifting colors, or very, very nicely. That's neat looking. Yeah, that's about it for the frame. Okay, so that about does it for today's tutorial. So now you know how to build your own shiny metallic shapes, how to build your own red tube, and make your Twitch frame look really nice. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.